Claire sighed as she pushed open the door to the cramped animal shelter, a cacophony of barking dogs and anxious chatter filling the air. The smell hit her immediately, a mix of wet fur, disinfectant, and an undertone of despair. She knew this wasn't the environment she wanted for her and her daughter, Emma. But after the loss of her husband, Claire felt Emma needed a friend, a companion who could fill the void left in their lives. "Remember, we're just looking for a small, family-friendly dog. Okay?" Claire said, kneeling down to meet Emma's gaze. Emma nodded but remained silent, her big brown eyes scanning the rows of cages. Claire sensed an undercurrent of emotion in her daughter, something she hadn't seen since her husband's passing. Emma was still struggling to find her voice, and Claire desperately wanted to help her. As they strolled further into the shelter, Claire noticed how some dogs barked energetically, while others cowered in the corners of their cages. "Let's try to find a playful little puppy," Claire suggested. But Emma had already wandered off, intrigued by a commotion in another part of the room. Suddenly, Claire heard her daughter's voice. "Mom, look over here." Emma was pointing excitedly at a larger cage in the corner where a sickly, emaciated German shepherd, named Rex, lay down wearily. "Emma, sweetie, that's a big dog. We're looking for something smaller," Claire replied gently, guiding her daughter back. Yet Emma was captivated. "Please, Mommy. He's so sad," Emma insisted, her voice rising with urgency, as she pressed her small hands against the cold metal bars of the cage. Claire paused, her heart tugging at the sight of Rex's mournful eyes. The shelter staff, busy with their routines, overheard Emma's escalating cries. "We're preparing to euthanize him soon," one of the staff members said flatly, glancing at Rex. "He's been here too long and his health is failing." "What? No." Emma's voice rose, full of desperation. "Please don't hurt him. He's my daddy's dog." Her exclamation silenced the room, capturing everyone's attention. Claire's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't heard Emma speak so fervently since the funeral. It was as if a dam had broken. "Emma, what do you mean?" Claire knelt beside her daughter, wide-eyed in shock. "Daddy told me about Rex when he came home from the army. He said Rex was his best friend." Emma's voice trembled but was firm, echoing with the rawness of loss. "If you take him away, it's like taking Daddy away again." Claire felt a rush of emotions, her heart aching for her daughter. She exchanged worried glances with a nearby shelter worker, her mind racing. It was clear that Rex and Emma shared a bond she hadn't understood before. "Are you sure, honey?" Claire asked, her voice barely a whisper, filled with disbelief and hope. "Yes, Mom. I know it in my heart," Emma cried, her tiny hands gripping the bars of the cage. "Rex needs us." A few shelter staff members gathered around, looking unsure how to respond. One of them, a woman with gentle features, stepped forward. "If you're serious about adopting him, we can stop the euthanasia process for now. But he is very sick." Claire took a deep breath, her heart pounding. "We'll take him," she declared, her voice resolute. "We can't let him die here. If he means that much to Emma, then he deserves a chance." Emma's face lit up with joy, a bright smile breaking across her features. "Thank you, Mommy. Thank you." She rushed forward, wrapping her small arms around Rex through the bars. As the weary German shepherd lifted his head, eyes filled with a flicker of gratitude. As they filled out the paperwork, the tension in the room lessened slightly, replaced by a glimmer of hope. Claire felt something stir within her. Could this be the start of healing for their family? "I promise we'll take care of you, Rex," Emma whispered, her voice soft but certain. "You'll never be alone again. Let's get you home and healthy," Claire added, looking at Rex with determination. "You're part of our family now." The shelter staff watched as Claire and Emma led Rex out of the building. The overwhelming noise previously pulsating through the shelter faded behind them, replaced by a quiet sense of possibility. In that moment, Claire realized they were starting a new chapter, one filled with uncertainty but also, perhaps, a chance for joy. "Mommy," Emma said, glancing back at Rex as they stepped outside. "I know Daddy sent him to us. I can feel it. Yes, sweetheart. I think you might be right, Claire replied, a tear escaping her eye, the weight of loss beginning to lift as hope began to take its place. As they stepped into the sunlight, a new journey unfolded before them, full of love, loyalty, and the healing power of friendship, proving that in the face of despair, miracles could still blossom. After leaving the shelter, Claire and Emma settled Rex in the back seat of their car, the large German shepherd lying weakly, yet his warm presence radiated comfort to both mother and daughter. Emma carefully placed a blanket over him, whispering sweet nothings as if he were a fragile baby. "Are you comfortable, Rex?" she asked, her voice tender. Rex responded with a soft groan, making Emma smile. "See, Mom? He's happy to be with us." Claire cast a quick glance at her daughter through the rearview mirror, her heart swelling with affection. "You've done something incredible today, Emma. You helped save his life," she said, her voice slightly choked. Emma beamed back with pride, their bond strengthening with every moment spent with Rex. When they arrived home, Claire guided Rex gently into their yard. Aside from the surrounding cling of memories of her late husband, the place felt alive with hope. "This is your new home, Rex," Emma exclaimed, her voice filled with glee, as she walked him around to show him the yard. Claire knelt down beside Rex, a concerned look crossing her face. "Let's get you to a vet, buddy," she said gently, brushing her hand through his matted fur. Emma stood vigil over them, her small fingers lightly touching Rex's head. That evening, Claire made an appointment with Dr. Thompson, a trusted veterinarian in their area. During the drive, Claire grew increasingly anxious. "What if we can't help him, Emma?" she voiced her fears. Emma turned to face her mother, her eyes filled with determination. "But we have to try, Mom. He's part of our family now." "All right," Claire sighed, both reassured and inspired by her daughter's spirit. "We'll do everything we can." The following morning, they arrived at the clinic, the bright white building contrasting starkly with the emotional heaviness they felt. Claire held Rex's leash firmly as they approached the reception desk. "Hi, we're here to see Dr. Thompson. We rescued Rex from the shelter," Claire said. There was a hint of hesitation in her voice, a fear of unleashing the truth that hunched over her heart. "Great. Please have a seat. I'll let the doctor know you're here," the receptionist replied with a kind smile. Minutes felt like hours as they waited. Emma remained closely attached to Rex, who's now resting his head on her lap, searching for comfort in her presence. When Dr. Thompson finally entered the room, he was a middle-aged man with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor. "Hello, and who do we have here?" he said cheerfully, kneeling down to Rex's level. "What a handsome fellow you are. This is Rex, Dr. Thompson. We just adopted him from the shelter, but he's really sick," Emma responded, her voice timid yet firm. Dr. Thompson turned serious as he examined Rex, first looking in his eyes, then checking his heartbeat. "I see. Poor guy looks like he's been through a lot," he said, his brow furrowing. "We'll run some tests to determine how we can help him." The examination lasted nearly an hour. During that time, Claire and Emma watched anxiously as Dr. Thompson walked in and out of the room, bringing old machines and charts. The weight of suspicion hung heavy in Claire's heart. Was Rex's condition truly a result of neglect, or something more sinister? After completing the tests, Dr. Thompson returned with a grim look. "I have some concerning news," he said, sitting down across from them. "Rex shows signs of poisoning, possibly due to unauthorized drug testing at the shelter. It looks like someone was conducting experiments." Claire's stomach dropped. What? How could they do this to him? She felt anger rising within her, mixed with the urgency to save the dog her daughter had come to love. "Right now, we need to focus on getting him stabilized," Dr. Thompson said, looking between Claire and Emma. "He'll need a series of treatments. I'll do everything I can." Emma's little hands clutched Rex's collar. "He's my father's dog. We have to save him." "We will, Emma," Claire said, her voice filled with fierce determination. "Whatever it takes." With Dr. Thompson's treatment plan in place, they returned home with Rex, who now seemed even more fragile but also somehow determined. Claire set up a comfortable space for him in the living room, surrounding him with soft blankets and Emma's stuffed animals. "Look, Rex, you're going to be okay?" Emma whispered, her heart racing with both fear and hope as she stroked his fur. "You're going to be a part of our family, just like Daddy wanted." Days turned into a blur of veterinary visits, medications, and gentle care. Claire and Emma dedicated themselves to Rex's recovery, showing him love and affection that he desperately needed. Emma spoke to Rex often, recounting tales about her father, and slowly, Rex began to respond, tail thumping weakly against the ground whenever Emma's voice rose in excitement. Claire witnessed something magical happen within Emma. Her voice grew stronger, and with every session spent with Rex, she seemed to regain a piece of herself that she thought was lost forever. One particularly warm afternoon, Emma sat beside Rex, a sunny smile on her face as she read aloud from one of her favorite picture books. "And then the puppy found his forever home," she narrated, glancing to see Rex looking at her attentively, his tired but bright eyes fixed on her. Suddenly, without warning, Rex staggered and fell. Emma gasped, her heart racing in her chest. "Mom! Rex!" Claire rushed in, her breath hitching in her throat as her heart sank. She knelt beside Rex, feeling hopelessness beginning to bubble within her.
No, Rex.
"Stay with us." Panic flooded the room as Claire checked Rex's pulse and Emma sobbed, clutching the dog's head. "Please, Rex, don't leave us. You have to fight." Emma cried, her tears falling onto Rex's fur. Claire frantically stared into Rex's eyes. "Dr. Thompson said he's a fighter, Emma. We can't give up on him." She felt a surge of fear and determination collide within her. "Stay with us, Rex. Your family needs you." At that moment, Claire could almost see a flicker of strength in Rex's eyes, as if he heard their pleas. Suddenly, he took a deep, shaky breath, and then, against all odds, he opened his eyes wide, looking directly at Emma. "Mom, he's alive!" Emma squealed, her voice breaking with excitement. "Rex, you came back." "Yes, you're okay," Claire echoed, relief flooding her as she gently hugged the dog. "Thank goodness, Rex." Over the next few weeks, Rex would undergo extensive care and support from Claire, Emma, and Dr. Thompson. Slowly but surely, he began to recover. Emma would encourage him with cheerful words, often saying, "You're a brave soldier, just like Daddy." As Rex regained strength, Claire decided to investigate the suspicious circumstances around the shelter further. She reached out to other families who had adopted from the same place and soon learned they shared similar experiences of negligence and abuse. Determined to expose the shelter's wrongful actions, Claire and Emma collaborated with Dr. Thompson and animal rights organizations to gather evidence. Together, they would ensure that no animal would suffer as Rex had. Little did they know the challenges ahead would build an even deeper bond among them, showing that love could conquer the darkest of times and ignite a fierce pursuit for justice. With Rex recovering steadily, Claire felt a newfound sense of purpose. The events at the shelter sparked a fire within her, driving her to uncover the truth behind the abuses happening there. Emma's radiant spirit fueled her determination, pushing her forward despite the emotional toll it would take. One afternoon, after making sure Rex was comfortably resting in his favorite spot, Claire sat down with Emma at the kitchen table. "Sweetheart, I want to talk to you about something important. You remember what Dr. Thompson said about Rex's condition at the shelter?" Emma nodded seriously, her eyes wide. "The bad people hurt him, Mom. We have to make them stop." "Exactly," Claire said, feeling both pride and sadness in her daughter's understanding. "I think we need to do something to help the other animals. If they can hurt Rex, who knows what else might be happening." Emma clenched her fists, determination shining in her eyes. "I want to help. Rex needs more friends." Claire smiled sadly. "If you're up for it, we can research together. We can find out what's really going on." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity as Claire and Emma began their investigation. They spent hours on the internet, digging up information on the animal shelter. They discovered frightening stories from other families who adopted pets from the same place, each revealing similar tales of negligence, unexplained illnesses, and even sudden deaths of shelter animals. One evening, Claire decided to visit the shelter under the guise of wanting to adopt another pet. Emma insisted on coming along, saying, "I want to see where Rex was. Maybe we can see the bad people." "Okay, but we need to be careful," Claire warned, placing a reassuring hand on Emma's shoulder. "We're just going to see what's happening. Nothing more." At the shelter, Claire noticed how the atmosphere felt both tense and chaotic. Many animals were confined to small cages, and a pervasive odor made her stomach churn. They made their way to the back, where they could hear voices discussing the adoption process. "Is it normal for dogs to look this sick?" Claire asked the intake officer casually as they pretended to look around. "Yeah, they get like that sometimes," the officer responded dismissively. "It's hard to keep them all healthy. Some come in with issues we can't control." From a distance, they could see Rex's old cage, where signs of neglect were apparent. Emma's heart sank. She turned to her mother, tears brimming in her eyes. "It's just like Rex was. It's not fair, Mom." "Come on, let's get a closer look," Claire said, leading Emma toward Rex's former cage. As they approached, they overheard a conversation between two shelter staff members. "Did you get a hold of the shipment?" one asked with a smirk. "We can't afford to lose those test subjects, especially if the results are good." "Yeah, but we have to be careful. If anyone finds out." The second employee trailed off, casting a suspicious glance around. Claire's heart raced. "Did you hear that, Emma? They're doing tests on these dogs. This isn't just neglect. It's something much worse." Emma gasped. "We have to tell someone." "Exactly. We have to gather evidence first," Claire said, her mind racing as she realized they needed to catch the shelter in the act. "Let's go home and come up with a plan." That night, they stayed up late, poring over the information they had gathered, including the testimonies of families who had encountered similar issues. Emma scribbled notes furiously, her little hands moving as fast as her thoughts raced. "Mom, can't we take pictures? We can show them to the police," Emma suggested, her eyes shining with determination. "Great idea. We need to be smart about this, though, and ensure we stay safe," Claire replied, excited by Emma's bravery. "We'll go back tomorrow, and this time we'll document everything." The following day was a mix of excitement and anxiety. Claire packed her phone, a small notebook, and a camera. "Are you ready, Em?" she asked, glancing at her daughter, who nodded vigorously. Entering the shelter once more, their plan was somewhat more covert now. Claire asked to see the animals that were ready for adoption, all while keeping an eye out for any suspicious activities. "Can we see this one?" Claire pointed to a particularly anxious dog cowering in the corner of a cage. As they drew closer, Claire noticed an employee slipping something into the animal's water bowl. "What was that?" Emma whispered, eyes wide. "I'm not sure, but we'll find out." Claire discreetly took a photo while pretending to check her phone. They moved from one area to another, each corner revealing further signs of neglect and abuse. The atmosphere felt increasingly tense, and Claire could feel the dread creeping in with every uncovered detail. Suddenly, Claire spotted a group of people gathered around a back room. Curious, she approached quietly, Emma at her heels. Peering through a small window, Claire's heart dropped. They were conducting experiments on the animals, injecting them with various substances while taking notes. "What are they doing?" Emma whispered, terrified, gripping Claire's arm. "I don't know, but it's not good," Claire replied, her heart racing as they quickly stepped away from the door. "We need to get out of here and call for help." As they moved toward the exit, Claire kept an eye out for the employees. Just as they were about to leave, an employee turned and eyed them suspiciously. "Hey, what are you two doing here?" he called out. Just looking," Emma replied, her voice shaky. "Yeah, just checking out the dogs," Claire added, trying to play it cool as they stepped outside into the fresh air. Once outside, they hurried to the car, Claire's hands trembling as she started the engine. "We have to call Dr. Thompson. He needs to know everything we witnessed," she said, frantically dialing. As Claire spoke to Dr. Thompson, explaining the abhorrent activities they had uncovered, she could feel a burning determination swelling inside her. They wouldn't let Rex's suffering go in vain. "Claire, this is serious. I'll contact the authorities right away. You need to get the footage you collected to them as well," Dr. Thompson urged, his voice steady yet urgent. They ended the call, adrenaline coursing through them. "Emma, we have to be brave. This isn't just for Rex. It's for all the animals who are still stuck there," Claire said, her resolve crystal clear. "I'm ready, Mom. We'll be heroes," Emma declared, her childish optimism radiating through the tension that filled the air. As they raced home, Claire noticed a newfound strength in Emma. With every turn of the wheels, they were not just going home. They were embarking on a mission that would change the fate of countless animals. The following days were a whirlwind as Claire and Emma pressed forward with their mission. Armed with their notes and the photos they took secretly at the shelter, they contacted local animal rights organizations to gather support. However, they quickly learned that exposing the shelter's dark secrets would not be easy. One afternoon, they sat at the kitchen table, piles of papers scattered around as they discussed their next steps. Claire turned to Emma, who was doodling on a piece of paper. "Emma, I think we need to get back to the shelter and gather more evidence. Feels urgent. We can't let them hurt any more animals." Emma looked up, her innocent face serious. "But Mom, what if they see us? What if they try to stop us?" "We have to be smart, honey," Claire replied, a determined gleam in her eyes. "We'll go just before closing when there are fewer people around. I'll wear a hat and sunglasses to disguise myself. And if we're careful, we can film a few more clips to show what's really happening." Excited yet nervous, the two devised a plan for later that evening. As twilight fell, Claire donned a baseball cap and dark glasses, pulling her hair up for a more discreet look. Emma, feeling brave, used her camera phone to get screenshots of any suspicious activities they might find in the shelter. "Are you ready?" Claire whispered, kneeling down to Emma's level. "I'm ready, Mom. Let's save the dogs," Emma replied, her face beaming with courage. When they arrived at the shelter, the atmosphere felt different, charged with an undercurrent of tension. It was quieter than usual, and Claire's heart raced as they walked through the door. "Remember, let's stick together," Claire urged, leading the way inside. As they moved stealthily down the aisles, they noticed several dogs in desperate need of care. The sight was gut-wrenching. Rex had come from this place, and they couldn't shake the feeling that every moment they hesitated could lead to another animal's suffering. "Look, Mom," Emma murmured, pointing to a small dog trembling in the corner of a cage. "He needs us." "I know, Emma, but we have to be focused. We need to find something to show the authorities." "Let's get to the back room again," Claire instructed, trying to keep her voice steady. As they approached the back area, they heard muffled voices from a nearby room. Claire motioned to Emma to stay quiet. They found a small window and peered inside. The sight made Claire's stomach churn. They saw employees monitoring a group of animals in a makeshift lab setting. "This is it?" Claire whispered, pulling out her phone to start filming discreetly. Emma stood close, her eyes wide in disbelief. "Mom, this is so wrong," Emma gasped, fear and outrage mingling in her voice. "I know, sweetheart. Just keep quiet," Claire whispered, fingers trembling slightly as she recorded the horrifying scene. The voices grew louder. "That's right. Keep them under for longer. We need accurate results," one staff member said coldly. "We don't have time for failure. If this goes public, we're in deep trouble." Claire's heart sank as she processed their words. These were not just careless neglect. This was active cruelty. Suddenly, one of the employees turned. "Who's there?" he shouted, scanning the room. "Run!" Claire hissed, grabbing Emma's hand tightly. They dashed down the hallway, adrenaline pumping as they made their way toward the exit. Just as they reached the door, Claire felt a hand on her shoulder. It was the employee they had just seen in the back room. "You're not going anywhere," he barked, yanking her back. while Emma stood frozen in shock. "Let her go," Emma shouted, her voice surprisingly firm, her little body trembling as she braced herself against the door. "Emma, go outside. Call for help," Claire instructed urgently, trying to keep her composure. But before Emma could move, the employee sneered. "You think you can expose us? You're just a couple of meddling fools." He stepped closer, menacingly blocking any escape route. Claire felt a surge of fear and desperation. "We need to help these animals. You can't keep doing this." "Help?" He laughed derisively. "You think anyone will believe you? You have no proof." Emma's gaze darted around the shelter, and she saw fear in the eyes of the trapped dogs. In that moment, something inside her ignited. "We have proof," she shouted, pulling her phone from her pocket. "We recorded everything." The employee's expression changed, realizing the potential danger.
No.
"You didn't." He lunged for Emma, trying to grab her phone. "Get away from her," Claire shouted, stepping between them protectively. In a split second, she shoved the door open, knocking the employee off balance. "Run, Emma." Without hesitation, Emma darted past Claire and out into the night, sprinting toward their car parked just a few yards away. As Claire stumbled out, the chaos erupted. The employee regained his footing and shouted for backup. "Hey, stop them. Emma, jump in," Claire yelled frantically, her heart pounding as she leaped into the passenger seat, just as Emma fumbled with the keys. With shaking hands, Emma started the engine, and in a flash, they were off, tires screeching into the night. "Did we lose him?" Emma asked, breathless and wide-eyed. "I think so." Claire breathed out a sigh of relief but felt a sinking sensation in her stomach. "But we have to get to safety and report this right away. We can't let them get away with it." As they drove away from the shelter, Emma looked back through the rearview mirror, seeing the building fade into the distance. "Mom, are we really going to tell everyone about the bad people?" "Yes, Euthanasia. We have to," Claire said fiercely. "For Rex and all the animals trapped there. We'll show them the video, and they won't be able to deny what's happening." The reality of their situation began to sink in as they drove towards Dr. Thompson's clinic. They were risking everything to uncover the truth, but for the first time since losing her husband, Claire felt empowered. Emma, her fiery spirit shining through the fear, was ready to stand up for those who couldn't. They pulled into the clinic parking lot, hearts racing with determination. Claire turned to Emma. "We did it, and now we're going to make sure they pay for their actions. Together." "Yeah, together," Emma echoed, her voice full of conviction. As they stepped inside, Claire felt a wave of both anxiety and hope wash over her. They were about to take a stand against injustice. No matter what it took, they would fight for every voiceless creature trapped in the shelter's grip. As Claire and Emma rushed into Dr. Thompson's clinic, the familiar smell of antiseptics calmed Claire's racing heart. The warmth of the clinic contrasted sharply with the coldness they had just departed from at the shelter. "Dr. Thompson, we need your help," Claire called out urgently. The veterinarian, a tall man with kind eyes, rushed over, taking in their frantic expressions. "What happened? Is Rex okay?" "It's worse than that," Emma interjected, her voice shaking with emotion. "We saw people hurting animals. They were experimenting on them." "What?" Dr. Thompson's expression grew serious. "We need to sit down and talk about this. I need to understand exactly what you saw." They quickly moved to a private consultation room. Claire recounted the events, her words pouring out in a hurried rush while Emma filled in the details, her little hands gesticulating as if she could physically push the memories away. After explaining everything, Claire finished. "We recorded the abuse on my phone. You have to help us show everyone what's happening." Dr. Thompson's look deepened with concern. "I believe you. I've suspected something was off at that shelter, but I didn't have proof. Can I see the footage?" Claire pulled out her phone and handed it to him, her heart pounding as he began to watch. Emma held her breath, squeezing her mother's hand tightly. After a few moments, Dr. Thompson looked up, his face grim. "This is Really bad. I'll contact the authorities immediately. Claire, you did the right thing bringing this to me. Claire felt a wave of relief wash over her, but it was quickly replaced by worry. What about the animals still there? We'll need to act fast. I'll gather some colleagues and animal rescue organizations. We can create a response team, but we'll need your help, both of you. We need to mobilize public interest and support, Dr. Thompson said decisively. Emma chimed in. Can we save the other dogs too? They're all scared, just like Rex was. Absolutely, Dr. Thompson replied, his tone warm and encouraging. We'll do everything we can to save them. The next few days became a whirlwind of action. Claire and Emma collaborated with Dr. Thompson and local animal rights groups, sharing their footage and rallying community support to bring attention to the shelter's abuses. One day, as they were preparing flyers and organizing press releases, Claire watched Emma, who seemed to have transformed overnight. The little girl who had once been so quiet was now bursting with enthusiasm and determination. Look, Mom! Emma exclaimed, holding up a colorful poster she had made. It read, Save our shelter friends, with drawings of dogs and hearts. We need to make sure everyone knows what's happening. Claire's heart swelled with pride. That's beautiful, Emma. You're such a brave girl. All the dogs deserve a chance, just like Rex. Emma said firmly, her little voice resolute. After countless hours of hard work, the organization scheduled a press conference outside the shelter. Claire stood alongside Emma and Dr. Thompson, the air thick with tension and anticipation as local news crews arrived. Remember to breathe and speak from the heart, Claire advised Emma, who nodded and squeezed her hand. As they began to speak, each shared their experiences and the horrors they had witnessed. Emma's small but strong voice rang clear through the crowd, captivating everyone's attention. I love Rex, she began, looking around at the audience. He's made me happy again. I want to help all the dogs like him. They deserve love and care, not pain. The crowd erupted with applause, people nodding and murmuring their support for Emma's heartfelt words. Claire felt tears prickle her eyes, overwhelmed by the strength of her daughter's spirit. The press conference garnered significant media attention, and soon after, news reports began airing the scandal surrounding the shelter. Animal rights activists protested outside, demanding investigations, and Claire felt a sense of hope rising within her. Weeks passed, during which the shelter was temporarily closed pending investigation. With the community's outcry backing them, Dr. Thompson and animal rescue groups worked tirelessly to pull animals from the shelter, placing them into foster homes and safe environments. One afternoon, Claire and Emma visited the temporary shelter set up for rescued animals. As they entered, Emma gasped at the sight of happy, healthy dogs playing in a fenced area. Look at them, Mom! Emma cried, running to the fence. They're so happy now. Just like Rex. Claire smiled, watching as her daughter bonded with the dogs, her light returning to her eyes. And they all deserve this kind of love. A few weeks later, a miraculous event took place. The local military, having heard Rex's story, reached out to Claire and Emma. They invited them to a ceremony honoring Rex for his service alongside Emma's father. On the day of the ceremony, Claire dressed Emma in her best dress and arranged for Rex to attend as well. As they arrived at the venue, Emma's excitement bubbled over, and Claire couldn't help but feel a poignant mix of pride and sadness. Mom, do you think Dad would be happy? Emma asked, her eyes glimmering with hope. Claire knelt beside her. I know he is, sweetheart. He would be so proud of you for speaking up and helping so many animals. When it was time for the ceremony, Rex, now fully recovered and strong, stood at Emma's side. The general spoke about Rex's courage and service, recounting stories that made the audience tear up. Today we honor not only a brave dog but also a brave girl, and her mother who reminded us of the importance of love and loyalty in its purest form, the general proclaimed. As he placed the medal around Rex's neck and presented Emma with a certificate of appreciation, the audience erupted in applause. Thank you, Emma shouted, her joy contagious. In that moment, Claire felt a profound sense of healing wash over her. The darkness of their past began to lift, replaced by a hopeful future filled with love, laughter, and the companionship of Rex. Together, they created a foundation to continue their fight for retired service dogs and all animals in need, ensuring that Rex's journey would inspire others for years to come. Later, when the dust had settled from the chaos of their lives, Claire and Emma returned to their hometown to visit her father's grave. Hand in hand, they walked through the cemetery, the weight of grief lightening with each step taken towards healing. "Dad, look at us," Emma said, kneeling down. "We saved so many dogs, just like Rex." Claire knelt beside Emma, brushing a gentle hand over her daughter's hair. "He's with us, Emma. I know he is proud of both of us. We did this together." As they made their way back home, Emma's laughter filled the car, a sound Claire had longed to hear again. "Mom, can we start our dog days every weekend? We could take Rex to the park and help more puppies find homes." Claire chuckled, her heart swelling with happiness. "Absolutely, baby girl. We'll become the best team ever." In the rearview mirror, Claire caught Rex's eyes, glinting with affection as he sat with his head out the window, feeling the wind in his fur. The road ahead was bright, promising adventures and endless love. They were a family, healed, whole, and ready to embark on a new chapter of life together. The story of Claire, Emma, and Rex encapsulates the profound bond between humans and animals, illustrating how love and compassion can bring healing and hope even after devastating loss. It emphasizes the impact of taking a stand against injustice, showcasing how one small voice can lead to significant change. The journey of Emma finding her voice after the tragic death of her father, and Claire's resilience in advocating for the voiceless animals, serves as a reminder that the power of love and family can overcome life's darkest moments. At its core, this tale stresses the importance of empathy, compassion, and action. It reminds us that every being deserves care and protection, and that we all have a role to play in creating a better world for those in need. The bond formed between Emma and Rex exemplifies the healing power of companionship and the lengths to which we should go to help those who cannot help themselves. We invite you to express your thoughts by liking this video, commenting your feelings, and sharing your insights with others. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay updated on more meaningful stories like this one. Every interaction from you is a huge motivation for us to continue creating content that inspires, educates, and brings joy. Your engagement helps us make a difference in the world. Thank you so much for joining us on this heartwarming journey today. Your support means the world to us, and we hope to continue bringing you stories that touch your heart and inspire positive change. Until next time, take care, and remember to spread love wherever you go.